We start a new chapter today in many ways. It's a new phase, if you will. May 15th is the end of the statewide closure. May 15th is the end of this week. And the question is now going to shift more towards localities and regions across the state to make sure they're in a position to open. And the state will be working in coordination with them. But it's an exciting new phase. We're all anxious to get back to work. We want to do it smartly. We want to do it intelligently, but we want to do it. And that's what this week is going to be all about. In terms of where we are, total hospitalizations are down again. That net change is down again. The net change in intubations is down again. The number of lives lost, still too high, obviously at 161, but better than it has been. So we see all the arrows are pointed in the right direction. If you look at the number of new COVID cases per day, about 488, that is just about where we started this horrific situation, right? So May 10th, we're right about where we were on March 19th, before we went into the abyss of the COVID virus. And when you see the number of lives lost, again, we're right about where we started before we really went into the heart of this crisis. And that's what it's been. It's been a crisis, and a painful one. But we're coming out of the other side. So in many ways, from my point of view, we're on the other side of the mountain, right? We got hit with the virus. We saw that incline. We saw the number of cases growing. We saw the number of deaths growing. We finally hit a plateau because we did what we needed to do, and we changed our behavior, and we closed down, and we turned the corner, and then we started to come down the other side, and that was the decline. And now the decline has gotten to a point where we are just about where we started the journey. So to turn to reopening, because we have abated the worst by what we've done, and now we can intelligently turn towards reopening. And that's May 15th, that's this Friday. And local regions all across the state should start to prepare for it, and people as well. There are 7 metrics, if you will, to get it down to a quantifiable situation that each region has to look at. First are the infection rate, the number of hospitalizations, the 14-day decline in hospitalizations, or under 15 new hospitalizations. That means you're controlling the hospitalizations. New hospitalizations under 2 per 100,000, so you know that the virus, again, is under control. Then number 4, let's learn from the past. We had a true public health emergency that we were in danger of overwhelming our hospital capacity. Let's make sure we have 30% buffer in a number of available hospital beds in case that virus takes off again on you. You want to make sure we have hospital beds, so hospitals up to 70%, but 30% available hospital beds, 30% available ICU beds. Many of the people who come in with this virus need an ICU bed. We want to make sure we have the ICU beds if we need them, God forbid. And then testing capacity, so we know what the virus spread is doing. You don't know what the virus is doing unless you are testing. And then the tracing that fits with the testing program. When we reopen, we're talking about a phased reopening. That's what everyone basically is doing. The question is moderating that phasing and doing it intelligently. But starting with construction and manufacturing, retail, curbside pickup, agriculture, forestry, and fishing, then to phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, monitoring all along. We start with businesses that are more essential and pose a lower risk. right? Because once you say we're going to reopen, they say, well, what first? Well, really, everybody says me first. After me first, what businesses first? Those that are most essential and those that pose a lower risk because you can socially distance, etc. That's the matrix to make the decision. We'll also open certain businesses statewide, which are low risk, landscaping, gardening, low risk recreational activities like tennis, drive-in movie theaters. Talk about going back to the future. Back to drive-in movie theaters. From day one, this was of such a magnitude that unless people engaged and understood and bought into this, government was impotent. State government can't enforce any of these things that we did. Stay in the house, close every school, close every business. State government can't enforce that. People had to understand the facts, and people had to engage in governing themselves in a way they hadn't in decades. People had to get engaged. People had to be informed. And that's the one thing I did right. Now, they got engaged because it mattered. This is not an abstract issue. You're talking about people's lives and people's health and the health of their children. So they were interested. They were engaged. But they were also informed. And I worked very hard every day to make sure they knew the facts. Trust the people. Lincoln, right? An informed public will keep this country safe. True. And that's exactly what happened here.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.